It's 24 hours to the commencement of the Africa Cup of Nations. And of course, we're ready here for our first Africa Cup of Nations. You know, Nigeria Super Eagles, they are taking part. It's going to be their 20th appearance, trying to see if they can do it again for the 4th time. I'm Cecilia Omogbe. This is Sport Tonight. Of course, Austin Okonakma is in London joining me.
Duper ready for the show tonight. Sporty greetings to you wherever you are in the world watching us. In London, I'm Austin Okonakwa. Cecilia, the AFCON is upon us.
Yes.
Can you believe it? That today, local media in England, I was listening to Talk Sports, and for 2 hours, they were talking about the AFCON. And then I knew that, yes, the AFCON is upon us. The world is watching.
Yeah.
Can Africa get the world talking about us through football? We'll know.
Now you know why we love it at this time. January, February is the right time to actually have the Africa Cup of Nations because the whole world will be focusing. Yes, the Asian Cup is also going on, but this is Africa. This is where you have all the talent, you know, actually playing the best of football, and this promises to be another big one. The 34th edition taking place in Côte d'Ivoire, and of all the 33 editions so far. About 12 of the countries that have won it are in Côte d'Ivoire. So obviously, it's going to be a big one. But this is what it should look like tonight. Yes, Africa Cup of Nations will get our attention. And not just that. Austin will have to go to England because EPL big games this weekend. Yes, Africa Cup of Nations is going on, but we will be talking about the English Premier League. But Manchester United and Tottenham, those guys will have to face each other this weekend. And also the big money, the power money, Manchester City and Newcastle, they will also be in action this weekend. And not just that, at home right here, where the talent start from, the MPFL, we will be talking about that also. The match days are coming up this weekend. So much more to talk about on Sport Tonight, especially with the Africa Cup of Nations just 24 hours away from now. And we will be joined by those who understands what it means, Austin, to win this trophy.
Yeah.
Sonny is, of course, the Scottish Super Eagles of Nigeria. Amuneke also was part of those who tried to qualify Nigeria for the World Cup, assistant to Austin. When we have consortium of coaches, yes, we will say that. And Amuneke, he understands what it means to win trophy. On the 17th, the likes of Oliseh, he produced those stats. So we have these big men, big names, big boys in the house tonight.
Yeah, Cecilia, when I was, I said 24 hours to go, what can I get to come on this show to put fire on the conversation, So let's go bring people who have not just played in the AFCON, but they've lifted the trophy. They are legends of the sport. So, Cecilia, I think we should just get into the conversation, bring them in.
Yeah, that's what we'll do right away.
Let's go to Santander in Spain. Former Super Eagles player. He's a legend of football in Nigeria. Emmanuel Amuneke joins us live on the show. I call him Kochi. That's what I'll do tonight. Kochi, good evening. Welcome to Sports Tonight.
Good evening, Austin. Thank you very much, and the compliment of the season, and also to Cecilia. Good evening.
Awesome. And in Aachen, in Germany, when you want to talk about who can ruffle any defense, who can ruffle any wall back in the day, who is as solid as stone, Sunday Oliseh joins us on the show all the way from Aachen in Germany. Kochi, good evening. Welcome to Sports Tonight.
Good evening, my man. Good evening, Austin. Good evening, Cecilia. And Emma, which one now?
Sunday. Good evening. Compliment.
Awesome. Good to have both of you on the show. Let's begin with Coach Emmanuel Amuneke. It's the 34th edition of the Africa Cup of Nations. What are your expectations?
Well, my expectations are to see a very exciting tournament. Like Cecilia said, we're going to watch the best of African players, representing their country when it comes to African Cup of Nations in African continent. So it's going to be a very exciting tournament. We're going to see big names. We're going to see a lot of teams. We're seeing some newcomers. Also, I'm glad Tanzania is back. I'm glad also the Gambian, they are back. They were able, last edition, the Gambian was able to put a very good performance in Cameroon. So I think African football, has grown a lot, and many teams now have the privilege, to compete with the best in Africa. So it's going to be a very exciting tournament. And our own team, Super Eagles, I'm wishing them the very best of luck. And I hope they will be in the position to be able to compete.
Let me go to Sunday, Oliseh, before we give it to Cecilia in Lagos. Sunday, when you look at the AFCON now compared to the time when you were active, and then everything you've seen of the AFCON back in the day, has it developed? Does it look like that international competition that should get the world talking?
Well, it's Africa's festival that's coming up now, and we're fortunate to have it every 2 years. In fact, when you look at the quality of the players that are on show, I must say that rarely has Africa in the past had so much superstars crammed into one major tournament. If you look at the Senegalese team, believe me, that is a blockbuster team. If you look at even the Egyptian team, they are not bad also. And if you look at, all these teams that are coming in, they all have superstars coming in. The Ghanaians are bringing in some superstars. So not to talk of the team that I feel is the most potentially star-studded team in the tournament that people are not looking at. I'm talking about our own Nigerian Super Eagles. Yeah. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun.
All right, let me go to Amuneke, start off with you. Now, we understand, yes, we have 25 players that Coach Joseph Peseiro selected to go into the Africa Cup of Nations.
Can you hear me?
And so far...
Yes, we can hear you. Well, we can't hear Cecilia yet. But Cecilia, okay. Coach, can you hear Cecilia?
No, I can't hear her. No.
Okay, Cecilia, go on again. Let's see if we can hear you.
Okay, Coach, can you hear me now?
Yes, it's coming, girl. Okay, go on.
All right, that's great. Okay, I was going to ask, we had 25 players going into...
Okay, yeah, we can hear you. Can go on.
All right, we had 25 players going into this Africa Cup of Nations that Coach Joseph Peseiro selected. And out of that 25, 3 already replaced. First, it was Wilfred Ndidi. And then second, we had Victor Boniface, a hot cake right now in Europe because of what he's doing for his club, Bayer Leverkusen. And then the latest one happens to be Umar Sadiq. And then you have new players coming in, Alassane Yusuf coming in, Terry Murphy coming in. And also you just have the latest Paul Onuachu replacing Terry Murphy. Now, are you worried that these injuries that crop up, when you have just days to the tournament, is it going to affect the performance of a star-studded team like the Super Eagles of Nigeria?
Well, look, this might come as a surprise to you, but my opinion of it is that the Nigerian team has the potential to win this tournament. There is no team in the continent at the moment that is so star-studded when you're talking of the offensive players, of the strikers. We are spoiled with choices. Personally, I am very sad that Victor Boniface is injured because I saw this player play when he came to Belgium, and he was doing exceptional things in Belgium. But I felt, okay, our league in Belgium is not that tough. Maybe we need to see him. But what I've seen, the way he plays now, I would have loved to be a midfielder behind this guy because he's strong. He can dribble, he can pass, he can assist, he can score. He's good in the air, and the man is mobile. So, and you can see he plays also collective football with what they're playing now. Personally, these injured players the ones that are coming to replace them, like Paul Onuachu is a very, very good player, solid player. In fact, even Terem also is a very, very solid one. We are spoiled for choices offensively. What I'm just worried about is how do we coordinate it and animate it, to be able to hide the weaknesses that we have and put these guys on show.
Yeah, interesting. Should he go for attack, best form of defense? Because you just mentioned that. How will he handle this squad, having lots and lots of players, but the midfield is a bit lean, and with Wilfred in the out, it's hard to see who's going to play the DM. And also, recently we've not had like regular center backs playing together or regular. Yes, we always have regular full backs. You can guess who's going to start, but sometimes we don't even know the center backs pairings. That's something we've been having for a while. How should he approach it, having that plethora of talent that you mentioned earlier?
Well, the thing there is, personally, I cannot give an advice to the coach because our philosophies are different. But so yeah, I can't really say he has to do this, he has to do that. That is unfair. That is lacking respect to the men, and that is something I shouldn't do. But if you are asking me what I will do, what I would do is that with these players, you will score goals. Now, what you have to do as a coach now is to have a team network that is able to be solid and not concede goals. That is just what has to be done now. I can't go into details because we're going to sleep here with tactics and it's boring. But I think
I know. Yeah, I get what you mean.
Yeah.
Let's bring in Coach Emmanuel Amuneke. Coachy, Sunday Oliseh has done a good job in saying we can't teach the coach's job. We can't go into tactics. And I like the beautiful song he sang about our forward line. But let's talk about this Super Eagles team as a team. As a team, is it complete? Do we have the sort of quality to go to the AFCON and compete favorably?
Well, I think I totally agreed with Sunday. When you look at our offensive aspect, we are very, very dominant and very, very dangerous in that aspect. But of course, you and I know, and Sunday knows very well about that. You can't have a team that is just build his philosophy just only on offensive. You have to also, look at the ability of the team to defend. And like in football, they always say that when you have the ball and when you don't have the ball, what are the things that you are doing, to prevent the opponent not to play, and how do you even get your objective, which is to score goals? So I think the coaches, like Sunday say, if we start talking about how they should play, and I think, of course, it looks disrespect to the coach. But, I think the coach need to look at his team deeply and then analyze the strength of his strikers. You can have Oliseh that we all know Oliseh is a player that likes to move a lot into space. And when those balls are not coming to him, this is whereby then you are forcing your players to drop deep to start to receive, and then they are no longer effective. You want your players to be effective towards to the opponent goal post. So I think the coaches, they have to look at this, analyze the strength of the players from individual to collective aspect, and then come up with a plan that where each and every one of them, from the goalkeeping department to the offensive department, where everyone can complement their own efforts so that it can be more productive and effective to the interests of the team.
And I see the coach has always been trying to experiment different formations, with this team. Back in the day, let's say we talk about you guys in 94. You played the 4-4-2 so well. We were so solid in midfield to the wings and even to the central attack. But these days, I don't even know the tactics of formation that suit this Super Eagles team. Now, I'll speak to you, Coach Emmanuel Amuneke, as a coach. If I give you this team to handle, what style of play do you think suits them?
Well, it's not just about a style of play. For example, every game is totally different. But of course, you must have a system that whereby everybody understands the clear pathway, what you want from them when the team has the ball and when the team does not have the ball. How are they able to track players? Because at times you are looking at players that are doing, opponent players that are doing a lot of movement without the ball. And those movements sometimes are more dangerous because they can create a lot of space where the other players, need to exploit it. But it's a question of, having a clear pathway where the coaches come up with a clear ideas, and those players, have to adapt to the ideas, because football is a teamwork. It's not just an individual. Yeah, we have African Footballer of the Year, Oliseh. Everybody is talking Oliseh. But we also need to know, for Oliseh to function in this AFCON, he needs people that need to help him. And who are those that can give him actually the ball? So these are things, you have to look, you have to find cohesion in the team. You have to find balance. Like Oliseh said earlier, yeah, we can score 10 goals. And if you score 10 goals and concede 10 goals, then it's a waste of time. I think the important thing is, if you score, you'll be able to defend the goals that you scored, being effective in your offensive and also being effective in your defensive. And this is the only way, you can guarantee of winning. But if you concede cheap goals and then you score, then it means, there is no possibility for you to be able to achieve anything in the AFCON.
Yeah.
If I may add something, Austin, to
Okay.
that. Sorry, Cecilia, please. The thing there is that I think personally, as a coach, you might have any philosophy in the world. As long as you're not Guardiola, what you play as a system or as a philosophy is based on the quality of the players you have. You cannot say, I want to play 4-2-3-1 or 4-1-4-1 if you don't have that defensive midfielder that can work for everybody tirelessly. So that system would work. But I think at the same time also, this is where I am so positive when it comes to Nigeria. Nigeria, forget the ones you're inviting. The crop of players that Nigeria has, you can play any system. Because we have so much quality when it comes to going forward. We have so much quality in the midfield. And we even have some quality defenders that have never even been invited to the Super Eagles yet. So you see, you can't be 220 million people and lack players. It doesn't happen. It's not possible. Especially in a country like ours that will love football, And you can see even you're in London, Austin. Look how passionate you are, how excited you were seeing television today talking about football. So Nigeria, you can play any system because you just have to decide, this is the system. Okay, I'm buying this one to play.
I'll stay with you, Coach Sonny Oliseh. You said the midfield. I'm worried about the midfield. Why are you not? Frank Oyeka, in England, they call him Frank the Tank. I hear he's been analyzed as who can come in and just spoil things. And I get worried because he can just pick a card and off he goes. Wilfred Ndidi is in the team. Joe Aribo is offensive. I know we can explore with Alex Iwobi. Doesn't our midfield worry you? Isn't it too lean to execute a tournament such as the AFCON?
Well, worrying me, the midfield itself is, I must tell you one fact one fact that we know, that statistics has proven to us at the FIFA Technical Committee. Every tournament, every club or a country that wins major tournaments, they have a solid defensive midfielder. Because it is very, very important. That is one of the most ungrateful roles you have in football. I am worried also of the midfield, like you said, we could be lean, because the moment I heard Ndidi was injured, I said, wow, this is going to be a problem. This is African nation stuff. They're going to be duels, hard tackles. They're going to be, and also, when you look at the teams that are coming at us, so if you're going to have so much offensive players like we have, you cannot afford to play without solid defensive midfielders. In fact, with the team we have, it's a sine qua non. You must have it, otherwise you're going to die. If you don't have defensive midfielders that can settle up. And let's not forget, the defense is even also very important too, when you have so much offensive players.
Cecilia.
Interesting, Austin had to bring in that midfield, because that's what we've been talking about, that how do you go into a tournament having a very lean midfield. But what can be done about that? I mean, if you were given this squad to actually look at you, I know you mentioned it earlier. I mean, what can be done to actually ensure that, yes, we don't, maybe something can happen in a midfield where we would have to be worried. Do we have options at all?
Well, we do have options in the sense that, okay, let's break it down. Okay. It's like this. If your team is defending, you don't defend just with defenders. You defend with defenders, midfielders, and strikers. That is modern football. So if you're going to play modern football, when you say you're going to have a lean midfield, if you have a lean midfield, that means the strikers are not joining in to defend. If you have a lean defense, that means the midfielders are not joining in to double up and compact and press up to get the ball. So that's what it is about it is. So in that reason, it is not, that's why I said, I don't want to talk because it might look like a criticism, but in reality, you need a team network. You have to build a team. And you don't build teams when you keep experimenting. So normally you must have players that have played together for some time. Then you create what we call in French, les automatismes. That is like, things that you do often, you're used to it. Like back in the days, I knew that if I'm defending, I will delay the striker because I know Amuneke is going to come and help me. So if I have 2 against 1, I delay because I know someone is going to come. And if you delay too much, I rush you, So it was always like that. Everybody knew it in the team. So the team is, you need that team network. Otherwise, you can't win the Nations Cup.
Okay, I think I get your point. So let's go to Amuneke quickly. I mean, concerning this cohesion and this connectivity that you just mentioned, because I understand that is really important. Coach Amuneke, I mean, you coach the likes of Victor Osimhen, and they went on to win, under 17 Africa Cup of Nations. And that squad, we have so many stars coming in from that. And we saw how that team worked. I mean, that build-up that they have building from the back, that is what we haven't seen with these Super Eagles, that build-up from the back. We usually don't see that.
Well, I think it's a total different players. How will I say it? Comparing to the under 17 and the present players now, and those players, they have actually graduated to the senior team. But of course, you want to build from behind, like Sunday have mentioned. You must have players that have that ability to do that job. You must have players, that the midfielders also, that have the ability to know when to come and receive, or know when to go away, to give the defenders the option to be able to join more in the offensive aspect of the game. Like, I think football is just all about understanding the cohesion of the team, the understanding of the players, knowing the strength of the players, knowing the weakness of the player, knowing what your teammate, like during our time with Sunday already knows that the moment he has the ball, either I'm running to space, or Yekin is running to space, or Finidi is running to space, he's putting the ball there. So I think that understanding is very, very key in every team. And when you have that understanding in the team, of course, things becomes much easier. The functional of the players become much easier. Just like I mentioned earlier, when you look at Osimhen, where he plays in Napoli, you look at people that surround him, people that gives him the ball. You know that he is surrounded with quality players. So the same thing goes to the national team. So our midfielders, like Sunday said, is very, very important, both on the offensive aspect of the game and both on the defensive aspect of the game. So if you don't have a very strong midfielders that can do the job, then basically what you are doing is that you are making your strikers to come deep, to come and receive the ball. And when they start coming deep to receive the ball, this is what the opponent wants, because they are no longer threats. Basically, they will be losing the ball in the midfield, or if they try to drive the ball from to the half to the opponent goal post, then it becomes a very big problem to them. But I hope, the coaches, they can be able to look at their team, holistically. Sunday said something. Yeah, it's not just about the system of the team. I think it's all about continuous preparation on the players to really understand what you want from them on the ball and off the ball. Because if you are a team that only play when you have the ball, basically in this tournament, you will meet a team that will present you a lot of problem. And if you don't have that capacity of defending, then this is where the problem comes into the team.
If you want to send a message to the Super Eagles, okay. If you want
Coach
to send...
Oliseh, Okay, Cecilia.
Okay, I was going to ask both of you, if you want to send a message to the Super Eagles of Nigeria, what message will you be sending to them and this, as they begin the campaign on Sunday against Equatorial Guinea?
Well, I'm wishing them the very best of luck. And we are all hoping that they will be in the position to compete in this tournament. Everybody is looking to them. They are one of the favorites to win this AFCON. And we hope their journey begins on Sunday, and we hope their first game against Equatorial Guinea, they will be in a position at least to pick the 3 points, because first game is key. And if you win your first game, it gives you more confidence, going into the second game against the host. So I wish them the very best of luck, and I hope they can be able, to win this AFCON.
Yeah, I'm talking about that opening game on Sunday. Sunday Oliseh. I've been hearing people say, "Oh, it's going to be easy. It's Equatorial Guinea," and I say, "Pause." Equatorial Guinea went all the way to the quarterfinals in the last edition in Cameroon. I watched that team. I saw how compact they were, and that's a potential banana peel. How do you want the Super Eagles to approach that match?
Well, don't forget we just played Lesotho. Don't forget we played Zimbabwe. So if you've not learned, they say when you keep making mistakes, the same mistakes, then it's no longer mistakes. It's your culture. So it's like that. And what I feel is that if we're going to be playing this team in this African Nations Cup, you don't have small teams anymore. And furthermore, people are not scared of Nigeria anymore. No, the message you have to do is that you have to dominate the opposition. If we're going to play Equatorial Guinea, there is nothing you can do than from the first minute to go blazing. Don't forget, qualifiers is over. It's all over. Now, everybody's starting from scratch, zero. And don't forget, as you are playing Equatorial Guinea, the whole tournament, the all other teams are watching you. So it is that particular the way you play it, and you cannot afford to mess up in your first opening game, or as you're playing catch up. This is not a game where you're going to experiment. You have to play your best, and it's a game where you have to play for result. One thing I also see about the Super Eagles that people are talking about this attack, defense, and everything. Look, I know I don't want to bore you about tactics, but there is a third phase in football that is probably the most important phase. Now, when you have the ball, you are in possession. When you don't have the ball, you're not in possession. Now, there's a situation that is called a transition period. That is the third part of football. What do I do? Immediately, I get the ball back. What do we do with it? Those transition periods are what decides games. And a team with so much pace like Nigeria, if we don't exploit transitions, we will struggle in this tournament. Because
all right, Coach, we'll get back to you later, but we need to go on the...
I'm optimistic.
Coach, we'll continue this discussion, but we need to go on a break. And of course, we'll come back. Sport Tonight will continue on all other platforms except on DSTV, because on DSTV platform, we'll be having Senator Ahmed Lawa's documentary on empowerment program. Welcome back to Sports Tonight. Of course, we still have the two coaches in the building, former players, of course, who have won the Africa Cup of Nations 1994, and also former Africa Player of the Year is also with us, Amuneke and Sunday Oliseh. Oliseh was talking about, what he expects to see in the game against Equatorial Guinea. Coach, can we continue with that discussion on what the Super Eagles can do against Equatorial Guinea? Because you mentioned Lesotho and, of course, Zimbabwe, and that's... And even Guinea, yes, it was a warm-up game, but that's still pain for all of us.
Well, like in modern football, we don't have friendly games anymore. That's how it is. Because every friendly game serves a purpose. So it's no longer friendly. If you're playing a friendly game, you're either trying to improve something, you're trying to try out something, so it is an important one. I personally feel that by hook or by crook, you just have to come out of the first game with 3 points. If you don't, we will struggle. And don't forget, like I said earlier on, when it comes to tactics and techniques and all that is important. But at the end of the day, it is the spirit you bring into the game and the way the game is animated that will decide a lot. We cannot afford to, God forbid, lose the first game against Equatorial Guinea now. We cannot.
Amen. We can't afford to lose that game because all of us are hoping. Let me just go to Amuneke before Austin will come in here. Coach, Oliseh just talked about the fact that you have to win your first game. What can they really do differently? Because that warm-up game against Guinea, yes, the coach said he was just trying to check the formation because of the injuries that happened in camp. But with that, losing that warm-up game, going into the Nations Cup, confidence is really low right now, among Nigerians. What can they do differently to ensure that, yes, they hit the ground running against Equatorial Guinea on Sunday?
Well, they have to, first of all, believe in themselves and then work very hard without going into the game based on they have good players. Equatorial Guinea, they have, over the years, they have developed a lot. And most of their players, they were brought up here in Spain here. So when you talk about tactics, I think the Equatorial Guineas, they are also aware about tactics. So nothing is hidden anymore in football. But they have to approach the game with all seriousness, commitment, dedication, and also having the ability to manage the game, because it's key also to manage the game. If you know how to manage the game, you have more advantage of controlling the game. But if you allow the opponent to manage the game to their own advantage, then you begin to struggle. I think they just have to, believe in themselves Losing is not accepted in times of when you lose your first game, you're going to play your second game against the host. And we know what it is to play the game between Nigeria and Cote d'Ivoire. So I think they have to make, sure that they win their first game. And that will give them confidence, going into the second game.
Let me stay with you, Coach Amuneke. I want you to take off your Nigerian cap. Now you are not a Nigerian. Tell me 3 countries that are favorites to go all the way at this AFCON.
Well, I think I'm still looking on Senegal. Senegal, they have a very good team. Morocco also, not bad. Morocco, not bad. And Nigeria, like Sunday said, if Nigeria can keep their hearts together and, defend when they need to defend, because there will come a time you need to defend. And if you have the ability to defend when the duty call, it's very, very important. And this is whereby we call it character, when a team has the character. And if they have that character to do that, I think they can go to places. But this AFCON, is going to be a very exciting and a memorable AFCON, looking at the quality of players in this AFCON.
We are looking forward to it. Sonny, Coach Emmanuel Amuneke couldn't stop being Nigerian. He had to still mention Nigeria at the least. I want you to take off your Nigerian cap. We are not in Nigeria. And now, Sonny, you cannot name Morocco and Senegal. Tell me 2 other countries that you think are favorites to go all the way at this AFCON.
Well, if you ask me not to name Morocco and Senegal, then you're asking me to lie to you. and that would be unfair, because these teams, I watched them play in Qatar. I watched every game they played. I was working on them as a technical expert. So personally, there are 4 teams that I see that are hot favorites for this title. I see the Senegalese team. Believe me, even their second team without Mane, they did great during the World Cup. So they are very hot, and they have a continuity in the team. The Moroccans are exceptional. They are very good also. They are coming with almost the same mold like last time. But I expect them to struggle for one thing. During the World Cup, they were playing a lot of waiting to counter. In the African Nations Cup, they are not a small team. They have to impose their game. How they handle that might be a problem. Now, if you're looking at it also, I think the host, Ivory Coast, they are a very good team, a very solid team. I've watched them play also, and they have a team network that holds ground, that's very solid. And I must tell you, it's not a question of being a Nigerian or whatever. I am totally confident that with our own players, we can do very well in this tournament. We can win this tournament. We have the potential to win it. We might not win it, but we have the potential to win it, because you don't have this kind of players in other teams. Even Senegal don't have these 4 strikers we have. So those are the 4 countries I feel that are favorites to win it.
This is a good place to leave this conversation. Sunday Oliseh, thank you so much. Whenever I call you, answer. I appreciate you, my man. Coach Emmanuel Amuneke, thank you so much for your time. And you guys know that I will not stop calling you till the AFCON is over. Thank you so much for your time.
As long as you're a Nigerian, we will listen to you, so no problem.
Thank you so much. So that's it. Super Eagles legends. These are legends of football in Nigeria. Emmanuel Amuneke and Sunday Oliseh breaking down the 34th edition of the AFCON for us. And Cecilia, I think they've done a good job. You know, my morale was low before. They've done a good job now to boost my morale. So I'm confident again.
Exactly. At a point, we were thinking with all the injuries, and when Sunday Oliseh had to, analyze, break it down, the players that are also coming in, you understand that yes, we've got the squad, we've got the players. Do we have the team? That's the big question. Can we have that transition and all the things to talk about? Well, we'll see. Sunday is our opening game against Equatorial Guinea. Yes, we'll leave the Super Eagles here because we can spend the whole time talking about the Super Eagles of Nigeria. But we'll have other things to talk about because the opening ceremony is tomorrow. You have the host nation up against Guinea-Bissau. And because of the, just earlier today, the president of Confederation of African Football, CAF, Patrice Motsepe has been talking about what he will expect in this Africa Cup of Nations. I expect it to produce the next crop of stars, and not just that. The tragedy that happened in Cameroon, remember the incident, that is something that he understands will not happen again, because you don't spend $1.5 billion to host the tournament and have some mishaps.
The appropriate steps have been taken to correctly make sure that we totally avoid the really painful experience we had in Cameroon, where we lost the lives of some of our people. Because the Cameroon accident was avoidable. It was absolutely avoidable. And I can't agree more with you. For as long as I'm president of CAF, whether I know or don't know, whether I'm aware or am not aware, I ultimately have to take responsibility for anything that happens within CAF, and I'm accountable. So I'm satisfied that there's a huge amount of commitment, determination, and I think Veron has done an excellent job. The day after Cameroon, Veron was here, and partly to make sure that the managerial, administrative challenges we had, we deal with them way in advance. The next Lionel Messi will come from Africa. The next Ronaldo is in Africa. We have already got Victor Osimhen and Hakimi, and one of the people who serves on the board with me said to me, yes, Mbappe has come back home. So I said, you mean he's in Paris? No, President, he's in Cameroon, where his father comes from. This continent has produced exceptional, gifted players.
Exceptional, gifted players all around. Well, the next 1 month, of course, we will be singing the praises of all the players playing in the Africa Cup of Nations. Now, let's take a look at the fixtures for the weekend and also games for Monday. And, of course, the opening game, you know how it's all about. You have Equatorial Guinea, Côte d'Ivoire and Guinea-Bissau. Of course, they are the ones opening at 9 p.m. Nigerian time. And then after that, you flip over to Sunday, where you have Nigeria, of course, will be up against Equatorial Guinea. But this is the opening game, where you have Côte d'Ivoire and, of course, Guinea-Bissau. And Sunday's fixture, that's where you have Nigeria and Equatorial Guinea. Egypt and Mozambique will be in action. And Ghana and Cape Verde will also be in action. Let's take a look at the games for Monday, and that's where the defending champs are talking about Senegal. That's where they come in, because that country wants to win this Africa Cup of Nations, because with Sadio Mane and the likes, all the squad back, the continuity that the two coaches talked about, that is also there. All right, that will do it for us at the Africa Cup of Nations. Let's just go to, we're running out of time. Yes, I understand that. Let's go to NPFL and games for this weekend. So many games to look forward to this weekend. Of course, it's match day 18. You have Bayelsa United and Benin Insurance away from home. You have Katsina United and Remo Stars will also be in action. Remo Stars still topping the table. Lobby Stars and Kano Pillars also in action. Sporting Lagos, see how they can get out from that bottom. They're in on the log. They were up against Shooting Stars right here in Lagos. And, of course, all the games for the weekend, you have Abia Warriors and Domo United, Enugu Rangers and Gombe United, Heartland and Kwara United, Plateau and Eimba, Sunshine Stars and Niger Tornadoes. These are the games for this weekend, match day 18 of the Nigeria Premier Football League. Austin, is there any one that you just look at, okay, this is the one? Yeah, we don't really have that blockbuster games, but there are some interesting games. Rangers having lost on Saturday, last week Saturday against Insurance. They will be at home this time around against Gombe United. They can turn it around, you think?
That's right. Yeah, they need to, and doing that, they will get their season back on track. I think they started so well, and at some point they blinked, and now they are struggling. I think Plateau United, Eimba, Cecilia is a good fixture. Plateau United are 5th on the log. You see, that's a team that they are just doing their thing, and they're just taking it one step at a time, and they're just going. No one is looking at them till you find out that the guys that are 3rd and 4th, if they lose a game or lose 2 games, Plateau United will take over. They play Eimba and they're at home. Eimba, they are fourth on the log. So that's why I said that's an important game for Plateau United to see how they can, get something out of that one and, gain some momentum with their league season. I think they're a very decent side. I think they're a compact team. They're also a team that can, go on the offensive even when they are conceding goals. So Eimba needs to be careful with that fixture. What about Lobby Stars Canopilas? Come on, what we're talking about? Lobby Stars second on the log, decent team, did the job against Kwara United. That one that they had to tell Kwara United that should get size, and they're still staying relevant all season. So that's a good one for them. That's a good test against Canopilas, and hopefully they'll get something out of it. There is a derby, a Southwest derby in Sporting Lagos and Shooting Stars. That one definitely will excite fans in Lagos and Ibadan to get talking about the MPFL, Cecilia.
Yeah, lots of interesting game, as you mentioned. But let's go to England, of course, EPL. Well, you have other interesting games coming up this weekend. We'll just take a look at the fixtures before we listen to some of the managers, talking ahead of the weekend games. Yes, Chelsea hosting Fulham. Yeah, the FA Cup, not a good one for them. Newcastle and Manchester City, that's another game you're looking forward to. You have Everton and Aston Villa, Manchester United and Tottenham. Yes, this is the game for this weekend that everyone had been talking about, because it's going to be a blockbuster for these two sides, trying to see how they can get their season really back on track, especially for Manchester United. Let's take a look at other fixtures for this weekend if we have them quickly. And Austin, maybe we'll have to take a listen to Chelsea coach. I mean, it's not a good time for him right now because injury worries, and Cuckoo getting injured, and him just trying to see how he can get these guys back on track. Let's take a listen to him before we leave the show.
Always when you recover a player, an important player, it's important that they can be involved. A little bit, of course, worry about the situation of Nkunku because still now, I think 10 days that he cannot train and we are assessing him. We didn't know what is going to happen. A little bit worried about the situation of Nkunku, but I think it's the good news in another side that a player like Chalobah, Chilwell, Badiashile, and Chukwuemeka, they are so close to be involved again and to help the team to perform.
I think in the game they will obviously want to win, Austin.
Yeah, I don't admire Poch, with all of these injuries. It worries any coach, but that's why he's the manager. He must find a way, to turn things around. Eddie Howe has also been talking due to the financial fair play rules, Cecilia. He needs to sell some players, but he said that he will do more to bolster his squad than to lose important players in January. But let's let our viewers know that there's an important game going on right now in the Premier League. It's between Burnley and Luton. Half-time in that game, Burnley 1, Luton 0. Whoever wins this game, Cecilia, gets a psychological boost ahead of their relegation battle because both sides are fighting to survive relegation. So I think that's how far we can go on the show tonight. In London, I'm Austin Okonakpan. In everything you do, remember, let's keep talking sports. Bye for now.
And in Lagos, I'm Cecilia Mogbe. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful night rest.